The following presentation by the Chestnut Hill Conservancy is part of our History at Home collection of activities from our archives. Community stories from our past in the comfort of your home. History at Home is made possible by our generous members and supporters. Thank you. This illustrated lecture, entitled History of Water Use in Northwest Philadelphia, was originally created as a captioned slideshow for the October 2018 Night of Lights exhibition along Germantown Avenue. Developed by Drew Brown and produced by Leah Silverstein and Molly Murphy, with narration by George McNeely. The Chestnut Hill Waterworks were built in 1849 by a private company to bring running water to homes in Chestnut Hill and Windmore. This 1874 site plan shows 25th Street, now Ardley Street, and Dublin Street, now Hartwell Lane. The Water Tower Recreation Center is now on the site of these waterworks buildings. From right to left, in this 1896 photograph, the farmhouse served as the original pumping station and office. Attached to the farmhouse were stables retrofitted with boilers and a smokestack, and a steam engine pump house built circa 1870 to resemble a barn. The masonry pit or well in front fed water to the pumps. Built in a former stone quarry, the Chestnut Hill Reservoir was 11 feet deep and was filled by springs flowing from the north wall of the quarry. The bottom of the reservoir is now the playing fields of the recreation center. The open structure on the left was A.B. Kerper Coal and Lumber Yard, which sat alongside the Reading Railroad's Chestnut Hill line, now SEPTA's Chestnut Hill East line. Visible in this 1896 view from the Reading Railroad tracks are, from left to right, the Masonic Hall, now the VFW building, the Chestnut Hill Hotel roof, and Christ Lutheran Church. The 85-foot-tall water tower allowed the Chestnut Hill Water Company to serve homes at the top of the hill. In the foreground in this 1896 photograph, Ardley Street was under construction. Here, seen around 1890, the wooden tank on top of the water tower was filled from the reservoir by pumps and held 35,000 gallons. It was taken down shortly after this photograph, as it was no longer in use. The Chestnut Hill Water Company was sold to the city in 1870 and closed around 1905. Germantown Water Company built a dam in 1859 at Walnut Lane across the Monashone Creek. The dam created an in-stream reservoir, or impoundment, that served as the water supply for Mount Airy and Germantown. Beginning around 1870, coinciding with the closure of the Germantown Waterworks, the city built a sewer that surrounded Monashone Creek, and Lincoln Drive was built above the sewer. The Germantown Water Company pumped water from its steam-powered waterworks at Tulpahawken Street to the Mount Airy Reservoir by Allen's Lane at the current site of the Houston School. From the reservoir that held 4.4 million gallons, the water flowed downhill by gravity to homes in Mount Airy and Germantown. This house was built on Walnut Lane for Queen Isabella of Spain's visit to the 1876 centennial in Philadelphia. The house was sold to the Germantown Waterworks for their headquarters. After the consolidation of the city and county in 1854, the new Philadelphia Water Department assumed control of the public waterworks of the former municipalities of the county of Philadelphia, which included the Fairmount, Spring Garden, 24th Ward, Kensington, and Frankfort Waterworks. About 1870, the new city of Philadelphia bought all the waterworks owned and operated by private companies in the city. Germantown Waterworks, Chestnut Hill Waterworks, and Mount Airy Reservoir were all purchased, and Roxborough Pumping Station and Reservoir were built by the new city, as part of an effort to link the then separate water systems to provide a reliable, interconnected water supply, a top priority for the water department. About 1870, the city demolished the Germantown Waterworks and its dam, relying on water pumped by Roxborough Pumping Station on the Schuylkill River through the pipe bridge built to fill Mount Airy Reservoir. The city built Lincoln Drive between 1895 and 1910 over Montashone Creek, which now flows in a large sewer beneath the drive. Lincoln Drive, newly completed, was photographed here at McCallum Street in 1895. In 1872, the city established a small pumping station on Allen's Lane to lift water from the Mount Airy Reservoir of the Germantown Waterworks up to the Chestnut Hill Waterworks, increasing its capacity. This photograph is from 1905. This is an 1895 diagram of the Mount Airy pumping station. The pipe bridge, built in 1870 over the Wissahickon Creek, just below the Gresham Creek, transferred untreated water from the Schuylkill River at Roxborough to the Mount Airy Reservoir. Chief engineer of the water system, Frederick Graff, designed the pipe bridge in 1868. His drawing shows how the pipe itself acted as part of the structure. The pipe bridge and Mount Airy pumping station linked the Roxborough, Mount Airy, Germantown, and Chestnut Hill waterworks into one water supply system. The combined water system was more flexible than the separate facilities in meeting the growing demand for water created by the building boom of the late 19th century. Pictured here is the Shawmont pumping station in Roxborough. Seen at the bottom of this circa 1883 atlas page was a working stream with several mills along it, harnessing the power from the rushing water. One can see the stream that originates from the springs at Pastorius Park and the stream now under Winston Road. This postcard from around 1900 shows the Hill Mill and the mill race with the McCallum Street Bridge in the background. Here, a 24-inch diameter water main was constructed in Germantown along Wissahickon Avenue near Rittenhouse Street. The water main was laid from Rex Avenue, where water came from Roxborough, to North Philadelphia in the vicinity of Verango Street. In 1902, a 30-inch large water main was constructed under the Wissahickon Creek at the Rex Avenue Bridge to bring filtered Schuylkill River water from the new filters at Roxborough to Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, and Germantown, replacing the pipe bridge. This new main and the filter water it carried contributed to the eventual elimination of typhoid fever and cholera that was killing several thousand residents annually. In this 1902 view of the construction, one can see the rock mounded into a temporary dam to funnel the Wissahickon Creek through a temporary wooden channel. The channel carried the creek over the excavated trench for the new water main. The trench flooded here after a rainstorm. This is the same site looking towards the Roxborough side of the creek, showing a pump designed to keep the water level low in the trench, while the trench was excavated for the new water main. A portable steam engine can be seen on the upper left, powering the pump via belts on drive wheels, and the smokestack for the boiler of the engine. The trench for the new water main continued up the valley wall to the northeast, under or alongside Rex Avenue, next to a stream that emanated from now buried springs around the Chestnut Hill Conservancy's offices and the Chestnut Hill branch of the Free Library. After the new 30-inch main was completed, the Chestnut Hill Waterworks and the Mount Airy Reservoir were both closed as part of the effort to protect public health. Seen in 1901 in Roxborough near Ridge Avenue, these mains were laid under this early house on the path of the future Domino Lane. The house stood mostly occupied until it was demolished in 1962. In 1904, looking northwest along Wissahickon Avenue, the new main passed a partly demolished factory in Germantown. In the distance stands the Roberts Mansion, with a newly developed block of row houses in front of it on Roberts Avenue. This view is looking north on Wissahickon Avenue towards Bluebell Hill, probably taken in 1904 at Chelton Avenue in Germantown, where the contractor was installing the Wissahickon Avenue main. Both streets were paved with rough-cut stone blocks, which one can see in the foreground. In this detail of the previous image, the larger cast iron pipe on the carriage measured 24 inches in diameter, while the smaller pipe at 16 inches would have been installed along a side street to individual homes. Pipe that was previously delivered was already laid along the left-hand side of the road. This is the gas-lit bridge over the Monashone Creek at the quiet intersection of Wissahickon Avenue and Lincoln Drive in 1904. Historic Rittenhouse Town was directly to the left or west of the photo. Beyond the far end of the bridge were some of the houses of the Bluebell Hill neighborhood. By 1900, a sewer was built along the Wissahickon from Stenton and Northwestern Avenues to a point downstream of the Fairmount Waterworks on the Schuylkill River, protecting the Wissahickon Creek and a critical part of the Schuylkill River from sewage pollution. The path for the sewer had to be blasted or cut by hand through hard rock. Brick or poured concrete built around a cylindrical wooden form were commonly used to construct sewers at the time. This drawing shows the main sewers in northwest Philadelphia, which follow the streams. Some streams, such as the ones that flowed along Winston Road, were encapsulated within sewers. In this view from 1892, wooden forms were used to create the arch of the Cresham Aqueduct, which carried the Wissahickon high-level intercepting sewer over the Cresham Creek. Cresham Aqueduct was completed in 1892, with the rustic pavilion beneath it, now gone. Built around 1930, this booster pumping station on Germantown Avenue, beside the Jenks School, boosted water pressure to meet the minimum requirements for Chestnut Hill customers. This is the interior of the pumping station on Germantown Avenue. Between 6 and 8 a.m. and again in the evening each day, the station boosted water pressure in order to meet the demands that showers and meal preparation, etc., placed on the water system. Drinking clear spring water in Fairmount Park was a point of pride for Philadelphians. This public drinking fountain was built in 1854 at a spring along the Wissahickon Creek by the Rex Avenue Bridge, seen here around 1858. Here, a Fairmount Park employee samples Radium Spring across the street from Rittenhouse Town to test it for water quality in 1940. The Philadelphia Health Department requested that the Philadelphia Water Department seal all the springs in the park beginning around 1960, as they were polluted by industrial chemicals and bacteria. In 1956, an additional main was laid across the Wissahickon Creek at Valley Green to bring water from the Queen Lane Water Treatment Plant via Chestnut Hill to Roxborough. Enlargement of the Queen Lane plant and the closing of Roxborough Filters and Reservoir in 1962 were designed to better treat for worsening pollution in the Schuylkill River and to more cost-effectively handle the dramatic growth in Roxborough's population after World War II.